Hello, jrpg here. Welcome back to my walkthrough of Final Fantasy VI. In the last episode, we spent a very classy evening at the opera, with Celeste as the lead. However, it wasn't just for fun. Setzer, the owner of the world's only airship, arrived at the climax of the first scene to kidnap Maria, the actress Celeste was impersonating. After Celeste was taken aboard, she let the rest of the returners on board, and Setzer quickly realizes he's been duped. He decides to settle the question of whether or not he will help the returners reach Vector via a coin toss, and is subsequently duped again by Edgar's trick coin. Setzer respects the hustle, however, and agrees to take us to the southern continent, which is where we are now. We've landed a bit of a distance away from Vector, so let's explore and gather information before we tackle our next destination. But first, we've got to fiddle with relics and equipment because Celeste is completely unequipped. So let's go ahead and hit optimum there, and then let's get our relics situated. I want to get Locke back to doing what he does best, which is stealing, so let's give him the sneak ring and his running shoes again. And then let's go ahead and give Celeste her earrings and the sprint shoes while we're at it. And then one last thing we've got to do is go ahead and give her her Esper back. Now we're all good to go, but we are a little bit beat up, as you can see. So why don't we go ahead and jump on the airship again really quick, because this guy over here is going to say, go, customers, need any refreshment? And yes, we do. This is going to be a free full heal. And man, is this airship decked out. It even has an item shop. Now, there's nothing special here, but it does sell warp stones, which we don't have any of. So why don't we go ahead and grab one, even though I may never use it. You just never know. Now, there's one more thing we can do here, and that's talk to this guy right up this way. Unequip some party members, and we can choose those not now in your party. All members or don't do anything, and this is a very nice way of getting equipment or espers off of people who aren't with you, but it won't give you your relics back, so we still can't have our black belt back. So let's have him not do anything, and then let's go talk to Setzer before we leave. And Setzer says, what's going on? The Empire's becoming paranoid. And while that's maybe true, I feel like you're kind of worrying about the wrong thing. Like, the Empire's doing lots and lots of evil stuff. Whether or not they're paranoid is not a big deal. But if we go up topside, the music kind of cuts out, and it weirds me out like I feel like I shouldn't be here. So let's get out of here. And now that we're done messing around aboard the airship, we can head into the town of Albrook and see if we can't figure out what's going on around here. And look at this, there are Imperial soldiers everywhere. 3 cheers for the Empire, said nobody. And the Empire strings up anyone who opposes it. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not worried about them being paranoid, I'm worried about them stringing people up. This guy says this is Albrook, the occupied city, and yep, I've gotten that sense already. Now, if we pop in the item shop, they don't have anything new for sale, but they do have revivifys here, and we might want a couple of those because there is a monster in the area that I want to show you because we didn't encounter it earlier, but I think we're just going to go with 2, and hopefully they don't mess us up too bad, but we'll see. All right, let's pop in the weapon shop. And here we have a few things for sale, but none of them are super interesting, but I do want to get this épée for Celeste, because it's just a better weapon. She's probably never going to use it, but I like having the best weapon available. It just makes me feel good. And look at that battle power jump, 70 to 114. That seems quite nice. Now let's talk to this guy. I'm a scholar of weapons. 1,000 years ago, during the War of the Magi, 2 so-called Atma weapons existed, and most people know this, but that is a mistranslation. It should say Ultima weapons, but anyway. One changed a person's power into a sword, the other was a monster bred for mass destruction, and believe me, we are going to meet both of those Ultima weapons. And in this pot we can find a tincture, and let's move on. This guy says you'll find some good weapons and items in Zen and Miranda. Now, that's not exactly true. There's maybe like one thing we want to buy, but we're going to visit those places anyway. And in the armor shop, these 2 chests are going to be empty because of course they are. Why would you keep chests in front of the counter that have stuff in them? What kind of armor shop would you be running then? Now, for sale, there is one interesting thing, and that is the Bard's Hat. This thing is just like the Green Beret, except it buffs your MP by 1/8 instead of your HP. So let's go ahead and get one for Celeste. Everybody else, I'm happy with where they're at, but I do want a little more MP for her. And if she was wearing the Magus hat, she'd be at 47 magic power, but I think I just want the raw MP. So let's go ahead and put this on. It does give 10 more magic block, which is pretty nice. And that bumps her MP all the way up to 130, which is not that much, but it is a full another couple of casts, so I like it. This guy says, Emperor Gestahl himself asked me to do his portrait. What if he doesn't like it? And I hate to tell you this, man, but if the Emperor doesn't like the portrait you paint of him, you're gonna die. This guy says, everything belongs to the Empire, and that is certainly true, at least on the southern continent. You're in the way. Git. I will go ahead and git. Let's talk to this guy. No entry into the port. And you may remember we ran into a Magitek guy guarding the port before, and he just let us by, but this one's a little smarter. No entry into the port, and he kicks us out of here. All right, let's keep going. Now, at the relic shop, there is one thing we haven't seen before, and that is the amulet. That's going to protect us from zombie, poison, and dark, which is pretty useful, and we could consider buying one, especially since I'm going to encounter a monster that can zombie us on purpose, but I think we're just going to hold off. Having a full set of wall rings would be nice at some point, but I'm not going to spend 18,000 gil on it right now. And once again, earrings are really, really good. You could certainly consider buying these, but we're just going to save our money. Let's see what's going on in the bar. But first, we're going to grab this clock elixir, as usual. And look, it's filled with Imperial soldiers. This woman says, ah, welcome. Thank you very much. And this guy tells us to get out of the way. And this woman is having an amazing time. Aha, whoopee, she says. This one says, in any case, you're probably broke. Listen, lady, I've got 35,000 gil on me. I'm not broke. Come on. Now, all these guys are going to whistle and yell, sure, no problem, for some reason. And this woman says, hey, you're not of the Empire. Get out of here. And I think I just might. Despite the fact that everyone's having a good time, I don't like all these Imperial soldiers. In fact, this guy says, nuts. These soldiers are absolutely insane. And this guy says, this cafe is like an Imperial soldier's dormitory. Yeah, let's get out of here. This guy says they say there's something valuable to the east. The Empire built a base there, and no one may enter. Now that is very interesting, and I think we're going to go check that out, despite the fact that we can't really do anything there right now. And this guy says we have to bribe the troopers to do business here. Yeah, I'm sure they all want their cut. Mess with the Empire, and you're probably going to bite it. This woman says Vector, the capital of the Empire, is at the center of this continent, and that is good to know because that's where we're going. However, we're going to check out the rest of the places before we head straight there. And this guy says, I'm a scholar of magic. Monsters on this continent have only weak magical power. Now that's not exactly true. There are a couple of monsters where if you leave them for last, they can cast things like Bolt 2 and Quake and stuff, so I don't really know what he's talking about. Can find a potion in here, and then there's nothing going on in the inn, but it is 300 gil if you want to stay, but we're not going to do that. We have a free inn on our airship. And I believe that's everything that I want to do in here, so let's go ahead and keep going. So let's go check out that Imperial camp, but while we're going that way, we're going to walk through this desert so I can show you that monster I was talking about. I'm going to get in this encounter on purpose, because you might be thinking we've been kind of dominating these boss fights. Maybe we're over-leveled, but that is absolutely not true. These fossil fangs can really mess you up, particularly if you meet two of them. Fortunately for us, we met the formation that is just them and some bugs. This shouldn't be too bad, but you can get really messed up by them, even at our level, which I believe is around 15. But to talk about Fossil Fang, it's got 1,399 HP, a bone attack that can cause zombie, which I was mentioning earlier, and can use Sandstorm, which is big damage to the whole party. He's got a Remedy as a common steel, and Revivify as a rare steel, and the bugs have a Potion as a common steel, Soft as a rare steel, and can use Stone Spine, which causes Petrify if they are last alive. Okay, let's check out the camp. Now, if you bump into any of these soldiers, you'll end up in a fight and get kicked out of here. And I don't want to do that for now, but we are going to do it once. What I want to show you here is this very tantalizing treasure room in the basement of this building. But the door is locked. So we can't do anything with that for now, but let's go get in a fight. And I want to fight this Magitek armor right over here. Now this is the Proto Armor and the Mega Armor. They have a couple of steals. The Proto Armor has a potion as a common steal and Mithril Mail as a rare steal, and you can win a Bioblaster 1/8 of the time from them. And the Mega Armor just has a potion on him. And they are firing tech lasers at us, which interestingly can be runic, but I kind of prefer just casting Ice with Celeste. It's what she does best. And I'm trying to win this fight as quickly as possible, because these guys, while they're not crazy hard, are definitely a threat. But I just kind of wanted to show you that you don't really want to mess around in here. The rewards for winning these fights are pretty paltry. Like, check this out. 212 XP, 296 skill, and you get booted out. Chucked out, it says. Now we're going to walk all the way north to the town of Zen. And we're going to run into a few random encounters. Now, jokers are something that I was talking about a little bit earlier when I said there are monsters that, if left last, can cast things like Bolt 2. These are the guys that cast Bolt 2. They have a tonic as the common steal, and a green beret as a rare steal, and you can win a mithril rod from them 1/8 of the time. And they, like a lot of things coming up in this scenario, are weak to Bolt, but they're also weak to poison because they're humanoid, I assume. Now let's see if we can't encounter a few more new enemies from around here. And it is, in fact, quite a hike. So Ralphs are new. Those have a tonic as a common steal, but they have a tiger mask as a rare steal, which is a nice upgrade for Sabin or Gao. Although you could argue that the green beret is better, but I like it. I like just having some new equipment. We're not going to be using green berets all the way to the end of the game, so you end up having to replace them at some point. But other than their rare steal, they're nothing special. But we do want to farm up some of these magic points, and in fact, I should probably check where we're at with our espers. Edgar's still got some work to do. Sabin's son was Siren, so let's unequip that and see if we can't swap it for something. Block is about half the way to Bolt 2. I don't need to learn Float, so let's go ahead and unequip that, and we'll just swap them out. Something you can do is the particularly slow spells, or unimportant ones, you can just swap so that people are always learning new spells. Alright, here we are at the town of Zen, and there's really nothing to do here but gather information. The soldiers are just going to have the same things to say. So let's go around and talk to everyone. This woman says our royal family was slaughtered by the Empire. Yep, that sounds like them. This woman says most of the town's youths were led off to serve as Imperial troopers. And this kid says, I said it's dangerous outside, so you can't go out. Now, it's not immediately clear what he's talking about, like why is he saying that to us, but he's quoting something that was said to him. Let's check out the weapon shop while we're over here. Now, there's nothing that we want here, but the boomerang is pretty interesting. It's a pretty strong weapon for Locke if you're interested in having him actually use the fight command, which I am not, but maybe you are. In which case, this would deal full damage from the back row and be pretty strong. But we're going to save our money and move on. Now, what about the armor shop? Yep, nothing new here. Same stuff for sale as before, pretty much. We could grab some more bard hats, but we're not going to do that. Let's get out of here. Now, the item shop does have echo screens for sale, and we're going to buy a bunch of these. We're not going to use them to cure the mute status, but we are going to use them for something pretty cool that I'm going to show you later. And I don't believe there's anything in the inn, but this one is 350 gil. We're not going to be using that either. Come on. That is way too expensive. This guy says some friendly advice. There's a weapon called the Guardian. It can't move, but it's very powerful. Run if you meet it. And that is very good advice. We will be meeting the Guardian, and you do have to run or you will be killed. Alright, and here we have some cool stuff for sale. We could buy running shoes, and we could buy a black belt because I've been complaining about it so much, but I'm not gonna because it's too expensive, although the running shoes are absolutely worth 7,000 gil. They are really, really good. But we're just gonna keep saving our money. For what? I don't actually know. This guy says, I heard there's a huge gate deep inside a cave to the east. And that is very, very interesting because that's what the Imperial camp was built to defend. Now, we don't know what the huge gate is, but it is very interesting nonetheless. This woman says, our kid's still not home, even though we said it was dangerous outside. And that's what I was talking about when I said the kid was quoting something that was told to him. But he's just having a great time on this railing down here. And there's really nothing more to do here. So I think it's time to go. Now, fortunately for us, there's a Chocobo forest right nearby because we have a long trip ahead of us. But before we make that trip, there is something that I want to talk about. And that is the opera scene and Celeste's role in it. If you already know the plot, it can be tempting to think about the words she sings in relation to another character, but that's not what's going on just yet at this point in the story. To be clear, the opera scene reverberates through significant portions of the plot to come, but at this point in the story, it serves as an important moment for Celeste to explore her feminine side that she really has not been in touch with up until this point because of the life she has led. She's been experimented on, infused with magic, and made to serve as a general and mage knight in the Empire's army, so there's been no chance for her to really get to know herself, which draws a parallel to Terra in that the both of them are trying to figure out who they really are. I think this is why Celeste is briefly reluctant to go along with Locke's plan, but quickly jumps at the chance to play a role that is far different from what she is accustomed to. But that's enough about that for now. Alright, here we are in the town of Miranda, and this is the last place that we need to visit before we hit the capital. First thing we're going to do here is find this ffVI in this box over here, and now let's talk to everyone and see what's going on. This guy says Miranda used to be this continent's most beautiful town. Look what the Empire's done to it. And while I do think it's a shame that the Empire keeps destroying all these towns and occupying them, I kind of find it hard to believe that this tiny little place was the most beautiful town on the continent. But maybe I should just take his word for it. This guy says these troopers are crazy. How long can things keep going on like this? And they're going to keep going on until someone stops them, and by someone, I mean me. Alright, now for a little change of pace, there is something we actually want to buy here, and that is the mithril mail. Let's get a copy of this for Edgar. Go ahead and put that on. And it's a few more defense, a few more magic defense. Nothing crazy, but it is an upgrade, and that is nice. Everyone else is wearing stuff that buffs stats, so we're going to just go with one copy of the mithril mail for right now. This woman says my son's being forced to serve in the Empire's army. And if you thought they were bad, all of those things are really bad, right? Like occupying towns, destroying the most beautiful town, slaughtering the royal family, running people off to serve in their military. Look at this. Dog fighting. Now there is absolutely nothing worse than this. Ugh. This woman says Sen and Albrook too fell to the Empire, and we already know that, but it is a shame. Now let's talk to these awful people watching this. Place all bets here, this guy says. You should be in prison, sir. Hee, this town is ours to play with. And don't you just hate them so much? You should hear the gossip floating around here. Well, we're gonna. And this kid says my dog's the fiercest. And they're even corrupting children to engage in dog fighting. Phew. This guy says scram, and I really want to. And this guy says this is our only means of recreation, and I'm like, surely there is something else you could be doing. Anything else, honestly. Anyway. There is something interesting in the weapon shop here. I'm interested in making Edgar a Dragoon at some point. I guess I'll get to it later, but the Trident is an upgrade for him, and it is water elemental, so that's kind of fun. Let's go ahead and buy it. And it bumps his battle power up to 113, which is nice. Okay. And that's really all we want here, but there is one last place to explore, and I really like this touch. We were writing those letters from Bulbliz, and they were via carrier pigeon, and on the roof there you can see a carrier pigeon sort of walking around. and inside, of course, is Lola. She says he sent that book. I'll read it every evening before bed. And now that's a nice palate cleanser for me after that dogfighting thing, that nice thing we did for this woman and her soldier boyfriend. She will have a lot of different lines of dialogue depending upon where you are in that scenario, but we cheesed it and we're already done, so that's the one we get. And let's check out this box over here. We get the remedy inside. And this woman says, say, you want to get hitched? And this guy says, Aishaya, no. And I'm really not clear on what's going on here. Like, is she trying to get married to him and he doesn't want to? Or is she running away from him and trying to get married to anyone passing by? I'm not really sure. But that's enough of this place. Let's get out of here. And now immediately to our right, there is actually a Chocobo forest in here. Ooh, chicken lips are new, so we can leave this in. I think my favorite thing about these guys is that chicken lips sounds like something you'd call someone you don't like. Like, get a load of chicken lips over here. Now, these are a type of monster I was mentioning earlier, where if you leave one alive for last, they can cast Quake on you, which is a really, really powerful spell for this point in the game. So we're going to make a point to kill them all at the same time. But quickly, they have a tonic as a common steel, and a sleeping bag as a rare steel, which we managed to hit on in this fight, which is very, very nice indeed. And it's a little tough to find, but this is where it is. So let's go ahead and jump on a Chocobo and get to the capital. And as usual for this Chocobo ride, I have something that I want to discuss, and that is how much I've been enjoying watching the iterations of ideas play out by playing this series from the beginning, from the very first Final Fantasy. Something that jumps out at me for this game is the inclusion of the active time battle system bar, where you can watch it fill up and know when your turn is about to happen. The other one that sticks out to me is the fact that Espers and Relics put together end up being materia in Final Fantasy VII, which I played through recently and I'm really, really looking forward to. That's going to be the very next game we play in this series, and I absolutely can't wait for that. But for now, we're still playing Final Fantasy VI, so I'm going to keep talking about this one in front of us. We are finally at the Imperial capital. And the first person we meet calls us an ugly brute. Ugly brute better make tracks, he says. Wow, what an introduction. And speaking of the terrible introduction you get to this place, let's check out the end. The first thing I want to do is talk to this couple over here. This guy says, I'll stay here and volunteer to be a soldier. And this woman says, in the army that destroyed our village? What about your promise to begin anew in Miranda? But that's just the way it goes around here, I suppose. Now, this guy looks like one of the people from Zozo, and he acts like it too. He says it's on the house. Have a snooze, and we're going to tell him yes, despite the fact that there is a 50% chance he's going to steal 1,000 gil from us. And here he comes. What a jerk. 1,000 gil stolen. Great. After refusing to spend 350 gil on the inn, I just spent 1,000. And the biggest reason you shouldn't do that is this right here. So this woman's going to ask us to pledge our allegiance to the Empire. Now, if we tell her yes, she just says fine and nothing happens. But if we tell her no, she says, what? And we are immediately accosted in what looks like it's going to be a pincer fight, but it ends up not being one of those. It's just a regular fight, and these seem to be like Narsh guards or something. They're not Imperial guards. It's really weird. But we crushed them easily, and now she says, right, I'm sure you can do it. She's had a little bit of a change of heart. And if we talk to her again, she'll say, young people, hang in there, and give us a free heal. Which is quite nice indeed. No need to spend 1,000 at the inn, but I did want to show you that that happens. Now, the weapon shop is not going to have anything new for sale, unfortunately. We should probably consider buying a Blossom for Shadow. He will be coming back at some point, but honestly, I'm planning on just throwing every turn with him, so I don't feel the need to. This guy says, General Celeste turned traitor. Why? The other side's sure to lose. Now, I don't plan on losing, buddy, but you don't need to know that. This woman says, Sid, the director of Magitek Research, is a genius. He gave my child the gift of cure magic. Now that's true, and we're going to talk to this kid in just a second because there is a little glitch that I want to show you. But first, let's pop in the armor shop. Once again, nothing new, nothing exciting. Too bad. Alright, now in order to achieve this glitch, we're going to need someone dead, so let's go ahead and make that happen, and I will be right back. Okay, so we went outside and we got Celeste dead. And before you say anything, I'm sorry I killed Celeste, but she has the lowest life total, so it was the fastest way to do this. Now, this kid is not very good at casting Cure. He only heals you for 1 HP. However, it has an interesting property, and that is this. And Cure. It heals you for 1, even if you're dead, so you can end up with a party member who is dead, but has more than 0 HP, which I think is kind of cool. Kind of a weird glitch, just wanted to show that off. Now, let's go ahead and pop by the old woman's house and get healed up. Because I don't want to spend any healing items or Phoenix Downs on this little excursion. Now, we want to head to the north part of town, and these soldiers will fight us if we bump into them, but there's a specific house that I want to check out. And that is right over here. And I find this place being optional really, really strange, where there are some pretty important plot things happening in here, but you can totally miss this. This guy says, Zen, Miranda, and Albrook. They're all controlled by the Empire. It's all because of the Returners. And what? It's not our fault they're controlled by the Empire. Are you crazy? This guy says, General Leo is a good man. Compared to him, Kefka's, oh, what am I saying? Yeah, he might hear you, and then you are certainly dead. This guy asks, is it true they extract magic from monsters inside the facility? And yes, that's true, but they're not monsters. Espers are sentient beings. This guy says, you're returners? Not a problem by me. Shall I tell you something neat? And let's tell him no at first. And he just says, phew. Now let's tell him yes. He's gonna say, all the soldiers in the Magitek Research Facility can use magic, that Professor Sid is truly a genius. Here's one for you. That guy Kefka, he was Sid's first experimental Magitek knight. But the process wasn't perfected yet. Something in Kefka's mind snapped that day. And that, I think, is really, really important to understanding Kefka's character and why he acts the way he does. He wasn't just born evil and insane, like that was done to him. And the fact that you can miss that piece of dialogue is a little crazy to me. I think it's just important for understanding the plot. Anyway, let's go all the way up and see if we can't get inside here. And this is the Imperial Castle, but a soldier comes running out and chases us. Fortunately, we're very, very good at hiding, but let's try and go back in again. And uh-oh. Soldier says, returner scum. And they're going to leap off their Magitek armor and start operating this thing. And this is the Guardian we were warned about. It won't let you pass. Now, this thing is completely invincible and will absolutely destroy you if you fight it, so let's run away. We'll follow the good advice that man gave us. And it looks like we can't go that way, so let's find another way. Oh, there's one person I missed talking to, and he's right up here. This guy says General Leo refused a Magitek infusion. He's a warrior's warrior. And yeah, everything we hear about General Leo makes me like him more and more. Now over here, these guys are all going to tell us Magitek Research Facility, no entry. But we want entry, so let's talk to this guy over here. And he hushes us. I'm a returner sympathizer. I've heard of you. While I distract the soldiers, climb out to the steel tower from this box and enter the facility. All ready? And yes, we are. And now let me tell you, if you thought Locke's acting was bad, take a look at this. He says, I'm gonna be sick. And the soldier says, get out of here. But he is doing a pretty good job of distracting them. So let's jump on top of this box and make our way towards the facility. He says, ugh, gonna toss it all. The soldier says, hey. And just like that, they were just distracted enough for us to get inside. Now, if you head back towards them, you end up in a fight and having to sit through this again, so we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna head inside. And this is the Magitek Factory, and it has one of my favorite songs in the entire game. Let me tell you a little story about this, actually. I used to have what is called an MP3 player. That's right, your phone and your music used to be separate devices, and my mind was blown that you could just fill it with video game music that you downloaded from Morpheus or Kazaa, so that's what I did. Anyway, so inside this chest we're going to find the Flame Saber, and we're going to find 3 elemental swords in here, and they're all pretty similar. They're just different elements. There's the Flame Saber, the Thunder, and the Blizzard. But what I'm interested in is that 2 magic power buff. That is very, very nice. So let's go ahead and throw it on Celeste. Now we can take this hook back over this way. And down below us is a chest. We're going to want to come through this one first. That will actually get us to the chest. Takes you in there, and then we'll take the center path to go all the way down. And there's a lot of these one-way conveyor belts. There are roundabout ways to get back to where you were going, but if you're not careful, you can end up somewhere you didn't want to go. Find an X potion in there, and let's take this conveyor belt this way. Find the Thunder Blade, and let's go ahead and throw that on Edgar, I think, even though we just bought him a new weapon. This one's even better, and it buffs his magic power. Nothing wrong with that. Remedy in here, and then we'll take this conveyor belt down. Now, I do see that treasure box there. Don't worry about it. We will be back for that one. Now, there are some pretty hidden chests in here, and we're going to find one right now. But first, we're going to battle these pipsqueaks. These guys just have a tonic as a common steal. They can counterattack basic fight commands with Exploder, which does a ton of damage, so you're not really going to want to be using Fight as usual. And then they also have Program 55, which will imp someone, which we really don't want, so what we're going to do is use Fire Dance to take them all out at the same time. Now, one thing I should check on is our Esper progress, yet again. Yeah, Edgar still has some work to do. Still doing fine on that. And how am I doing on Bolt 2? That's what I want to know. Because this is a research facility with a lot of metallic enemies, you're going to want to have Bolt 2. That's going to be handy, but we're not quite there yet. Now there's a secret room over here through this pipe. And in here we can find the Blizzard Blade. I'm kind of tempted to put that on lock, honestly, just to get the 2 more magic power. But the -3 speed is a bit of a trade-off. I think I'm going to leave it, actually. And the Zephyr Cape. Now, this is an interesting one. Let's go ahead and check it out. Now, this is actually pretty good. I know that it says dodges attacks more easily, and you're probably thinking, well, evade doesn't do anything, but this does actually make you evade attacks 10% of the time. However, because it doesn't offer any status resistance the way that the White Cape does, it's just straight up worse than the White Cape, but it is pretty cool nonetheless. I think Zephyr Cape is a pretty cool name for a relic. And now if we keep following this down, we will somehow end up back at the start. Doesn't make too much sense, but that's okay. Now let's take this conveyor belt here. And now, what do we hear but a familiar laugh? Kefka says, I'm all-powerful. I'm collecting espers, I'm extracting magic, and I'll restore the statues. And this is one of the most disgusting things he's done yet. I mean, he did poison an entire castle of people, but oh, this is tough to watch. So Kefka says, you've been completely drained of your powers. Now you're useless to me. And he bashes Shiva against the wall. and throws her down the disposal conveyor belt like a piece of trash. And remember, espers are sentient beings. And you, take a hike, he says to Ifrit, and also chucks him into the disposal area. Ugh, what a monster. And after sitting through that, now we can progress. It's not clear where Kefka went. Oh, Garms and Commandos are new, so we can leave this in. So Garms have a Tonic as the common steel, Phoenix Down as the rare steel, and Commandos have Tent as a common steel and a Mithril Vest as a rare steel. One of the things that you want to be paying attention to in here, though, is that things are pretty resistant to physical attacks and much, much weaker to magical attacks. And the idea is you're learning all these spells, now is the time to start using them. But before we head down there to where he pushed those poor espers, we're going to take this elevator up to find some more treasure. Find a tent in there, and then we want to come down this way, because there is a very hard-to-spot door just below me. And in here we'll find some gold armor, which is yet another upgrade for Edgar. His defense is getting beefy. And if we continue this way, there'll be another door below us, and a gold helmet. But all of our helmets do something cool, so we're not going to be using that, but I did want to find it anyway. Alright, we got a little beat up there, so why don't we go ahead and get topped up. And now we want to head over this way. We find some Dragoon boots, and that's what I was talking about when I was talking about making Edgar into a Dragoon, but still, I'm gonna wait. And there's that treasure box we went past earlier. It's got a gold shield in there. And now Edgar's defense is high enough. I think I'm going to give it to Celeste. Get hers up to 144. A little more magic defense never hurts either. And as you can see, we're around level 17, level 18. We're going to do every single fight in here because we're interested in learning as many spells as possible. But for now, we've got to backtrack all the way to where we were, but it isn't too far. I do like that you can ride this right next to the piece of Magitek armor. I think that's kind of fun. Now let's go check on those espers. Oh wow, Locklear Bolt 2 on that last fight. That's awesome. So he's all done with Ramuh, so let's unequip it and see if we can swap it with something. Yeah, let's take Kieran off. We can throw Ramuh on Edgar. And throw Kieran on Locke. Get him learning Pure. That'll be very, very nice. And while we're at it, let's check where everybody else is at. Yeah, Savin's almost done with Stray, but we're gonna get some new espers pretty soon. So we'll just leave it the way it is for now. And there they are, discarded by Kefka. Now, there is an encounter I want to get into down here, so let's make that happen quick. Now, these are the Flongs. Interestingly, they're immune to Aura Bolt and water, but what I want to do is try to steal from them. The reason I'm mentioning the water thing is because Edgar's Trident would be Water Elemental. Doesn't really matter for right now, but they have a rare steal of a Magicite, and Magicite is also an item. It's kind of confusing, but it's an item that casts a random summon / Esper. And they can be really fun, so I'm going to try to get my hands on one. But it looks like we're just getting tonics for right now. We're gonna give it a try, though. Oh, we got one! Look at that! Sweet. Totally worth it. Now, despite their immunities, they do just take a boatload of damage from everything else. Check this out. $1,400 damage. Pretty sweet. All right. Now, Shiva has nothing to say, but let's talk to this one. And, uh-oh. He seems like he's not happy. Now, unfortunately for us, we don't really have anything great to do against him. He's immune to bolts, so I'm not real sure. I guess I'll just summon Kieran, why not? He's also immune to Aura Bolt, so really all I can do with Sabin is pummel, because obviously him being a Flame Esper would make him immune to fire. So I can't use Fire Dance, but I can cast Ice, which is gonna be nice. Now the way this works is that Ifrit and Shiva will switch out every 5 attacks. I've got to deal 3,000 damage to one of them, but that's kind of a tall order against Ifrit. This is the reason we were trying to learn as many spells as possible, but we really just didn't get anything great to do here. Let's do it. I'm not gonna fire off Ice because I feel like they're gonna switch. Yep. We can, however, rain fire spells on Shiva, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. This is gonna be some beefy damage. I'm gonna throw down a runic just in case she casts an ice spell here. Yeah, unfortunately for Locke, the Espers don't carry stuff around in their pockets. I hope that this doesn't, because I don't want Fire Dance to come out on Ifrit. Alright, nice. Who are you? I sensed a kindred spirit. You have Ramuh's power? Wait! We're Espers. Ifrit says, Shiva says, well, Ramuh did entrust them with his power. Shiva says they drained our powers, then threw us away to... We haven't long to live. And Ifrit says Gestalt has grabbed our friends and is trying to drain them of their power. I, too, suffered my turn in one of the glass tubes. We will follow Ramuh's lead and give you our power. Our friends are all gone. We haven't much time left. No choice but to entrust you with our essences. And that is very sad, but it is mildly exciting to get 2 new Magicites. Shiva and Ifrit. Now let's go ahead and check them out, because I believe... Yeah, we're done with Siren, so... So at level up, Ifrit grants a Strength +1, which I don't know why it's a misspelled version of Strength when the stat is actually called Vigor. I have no idea what's going on with that stat. But we already know Fire, so let's have Celeste learn Ice too. She's kind of an Ice mage in my opinion, so let's do that. And then let's see if we can upgrade anyone else. I actually like the magic power +1 more, so I'm just gonna stay where I'm at with that. And we're still working on Kieran, so that looks pretty good to me. Let's keep going. We've got a lot of stairs to climb here, but it is pretty awesome to get your hands on new Espers. It just opens up so many new possibilities. Oh, the General's new. We can leave this in. He's got a Tonic as a common seal and a Mithril Shield as a rare. But otherwise is nothing special. Yep, and Fire Dance cleans them up in one shot, just like it always does. Alright, now we're in the research facility. Oh, gobblers are new. I have no idea why there's a turkey in this area. But we did hit on the rare steel there with the green cherry, so that's nice. Otherwise, he would have had a potion. And honestly, I kind of would have preferred the potion there, but it's going to be fine. Now, there's a very well-hidden chest over here. And that is all the way to the bottom left. You have to be facing up to find it. But this is the break blade. And this thing is pretty sweet. It's very, very strong. And it's non-elemental and will randomly cast break, which is an instant death spell. However, it does drop the magic power. You could end up putting this to use in this fight that's coming up, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to pull a little bit of a sneaky yet again. Now, as you may have guessed, that's going to be a boss up there. So let's go ahead and get topped up here. And let's do it. So this is number 24, and now how this fight is supposed to work, that can inflict muddle, it is. So let's go ahead and attack Edgar. I was gonna say he can inflict muddle, and there he goes. He has 4,777 HP, and how it's supposed to work is that he will change his elemental weakness by using his wall change ability. Now how you can figure out what the weakness is by casting scan or by watching how he attacks. He will always use an ability that's opposed to the element that he's weak against. However, we're not going to worry about all of that. We're just going to make him into a little tiny imp dude. Now that does trivialize the fight a little bit, but it doesn't mean it's over. As you can see, he will always crit when he's imped. So the designers thought about this, and it's something that you can use strategy-wise to trivialize the fight, but it is not over. Now, he does have a Rune Edge as a common steel and a Drainer as a rare steel. The Rune Edge, as you may remember, will use MP to deal a critical hit every time, which is why we skipped over, but the Drainer is at least a little bit interesting, in that it deals damage that absorbs HP, but it can't deal damage beyond your HP total, or rather how much it would steal. So if you're at full health, it's kind of useless, and it also has the reverse effect on undead enemies, meaning it heals them and damages you. Now, while I would have liked to have gotten that, because it is the rare steel, it is super not necessary, and in fact, not even very good. At any rate, we're gonna not worry about his elemental weaknesses because he's a little baby imp. We're just gonna go ahead and lay into him. All right, and down he goes. And let's go ahead and get topped up and keep on going. And look at that, all the espers are in the glass tubes. That's what Ifrit was talking about. Let's shut this whole thing down. Esper says, you want to help me, but I haven't long to live. Just as Ifrit did before me, I'll give to you my power. Sid says, what are you doing there? What's this? So, Esper magical power can only truly be transferred when one of them passes away. And the tubes break open and all of the magicite comes to us. Celeste says, Professor Sid. And Sid replies, General Celeste. And who might these dubious characters be? Your troops? Celeste says, no. You see? Sid says, can it be true that you came here as a spy, seeking to cause an uprising? And Locke goes, Celeste? And Kefka says, so that's it. Magicite. Sid, you miserable blockhead. Now. General Celeste, the game's over. Bring me those magicite shards. And Locke says, Celeste, you deceived me? And Celeste says, of course not. Have a little faith. And yeah, come on, Locke. Kefka says, she has tricked you all. Celeste, that's so you. Celeste says, Locke, please believe me. And Locke says, Kefka says, now! Exterminate all of them! And the Magitek soldiers level us all. But Celeste manages to jump out of the way, and she says, Locke, let me protect you for once. Maybe now you'll believe me. And Kefka says, Celeste, what are you doing? Stop it! And she transports all of them away from us. Locke says, Celeste. And Sid says, oh, what happened? This is a disaster. Your fighting has caused the capsules to rupture. Their contents are spilling out. Quick, over here. And let's get out of here as fast as we can. Sid says, Kefka has used me. Used the Empire. What have I done? The life energy of those espers have helped me come to a decision. I'm going to talk to the Emperor and have this stupid war stopped. But good luck with that, Sid. And I have to say, I feel like this episode has really gotten away from me on time, so I think right now is a good time to take a break. And we will make our escape from the Magitek Research Facility next time because I'm all out of time for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Final Fantasy Friday.